Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So it is finally fight week. And I say finally fight week because it's been a long time since we had a fight of this magnitude. Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter this week, unification bout. It should be good. It should be a good one. I think a lot of boxing fans are happy that Errol Spence has finally gotten his invitation to that little circle of welterweights. And when I say circle of welterweights, I'm talking about Keith Thurman, Shawn Porter, and Danny Garcia. And I say that because I remember fighters like Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman, they used to always say, well, Errol Spence, he hasn't fought, the Shawn Porters yet. He hasn't fought the Thurmans yet. Or he hasn't fought the Danny Garcias yet. They would say stuff like that. And we all know the reason why he wasn't fighting them back then is because none of those guys wanted to fight Errol Spence. They didn't want to give him a shot. And now, next to Manny Pacquiao, the biggest welterweight name in the division is Errol Spence. So the tables have definitely turned. Now all we have to do is get Terrence Crawford an invitation to that party. But that's for another video. Now, Errol Spence, who obviously is confident that he's going to beat Shawn Porter this Saturday, and he's predicting a knockout. That's what he wants, at least. Shawn Porter, by the way, he's saying the same thing. He's saying he's going to win by knockout. Errol Spence believes, should he get past Shawn Porter, the Manny Pacquiao fight will definitely happen next year. This is what Errol Spence had to say. Quote, "The fight with Manny Pacquiao definitely happens. I think it happens sometime next year, maybe in the middle or the end of next year. But I think it's definitely going to happen. The fans want it to happen. There's too much money out there not for it to happen. There's too many belts on the line for it not to happen," end quote. Now, and I would agree with Errol Spence when he says there's too much money for the fight not to happen. I think the Keith Thurman win took Manny Pacquiao's confidence to another level. And he may even be considering getting in the ring with Errol Spence. I mean, before Manny Pacquiao signed with Al Heyman in the PBC series, a lot of people thought that he would never get in the ring with a Keith Thurman, the likes of a Keith Thurman, let alone an Errol Spence, right? All of a sudden, he signs with Al Heyman, he fights Adrian Broner and Keith Thurman back to back. Now understand this, it would be different if Manny Pacquiao had just beat an old faded title holder. He had a couple of losses and he was never on Manny Pacquiao's level, right? And then someone asked Manny Pacquiao, since he just won that title, why don't you fight Errol Spence next? Why don't you fight Keith Thurman next? That would be a different situation, because then you could say, oh, well, Manny's too old. I mean, he fought that champion because that guy was old and past his prime. But Manny Pacquiao, he beat a 31-year-old Keith Thurman, the same Keith Thurman that the much younger Danny Garcia and Shawn Porter could not beat. So that completely throws the age excuse out of the window. The bottom line is, if Manny Pacquiao cannot get Floyd Mayweather, which he wants, if he can't get Floyd Mayweather, where does he go from here? I mean, is he going to try to fight Danny Garcia? That would really make no sense. He already said he didn't want to give Keith Thurman a rematch. We know he ain't going to fight Terrence Crawford. So where does he go from here? Where does he go from here? I truly believe Manny Pacquiao is at least thinking about taking the Errol Spence fight. I truly believe he's a lot more confident what he did, looking at what he did to Keith Thurman. I'll even go so far as to saying this. I believe a Pacquiao-Errol Spence fight would be competitive. I still would lean towards Errol Spence because I just believe Manny Pacquiao is extremely vulnerable when he's backed up to the ropes, as we've seen in the Jeff Horn fight. Jeff Horn, he won that fight because he was physically strong and he was willing to just throw punches and bunches while Manny Pacquiao was doing nothing but just blocking on the ropes. A lot of Jeff Horn punches were getting through, which I believe surprised Manny Pacquiao. Even Manny said it himself. He was surprised how physically strong Jeff Horn was. And the fact that Manny Pacquiao walked away from a rematch with Jeff Horn, that alone tells you how difficult that fight was for him. Because if you know the history of this sport, fighters that believe they won a fight, they never walk away from a rematch. They're going to get that rematch no matter what it takes, because they're going to believe that they can beat that fighter even more convincingly than they thought they beat him in the first fight. Now, there were different reports. Some of the reports that Manny Pacquiao turned down that fight because they wanted to fight in Australia, and he obviously didn't want to fight in Jeff Horn's backyard. But once again, this shows that Manny Pacquiao, he felt that even if he were to fight him again, the fight would be extremely close. So close that possibly Jeff Horn would win the fight again by a slight margin because he has a home field advantage. But if Manny Pacquiao could go in there and dominate Jeff Horn the way Terrence Crawford did, it would not matter where the fight took place. Which just goes to show you that styles make fights. I mean, who would think that while Manny Pacquiao couldn't lose to a Jeff Horn, I mean, even if you want to go far enough to say, which obviously every Manny Pacquiao fan is going to say that Manny Pacquiao was robbed. Let's just say he was robbed. Even if you believe Manny Pacquiao won the fight, you would have to agree with me that Manny Pacquiao struggled with a Jeff Horn. The same Jeff Horn that Terrence Crawford beat easily, right? But at the same time, Manny Pacquiao, he was very impressive beating Keith Thurman. It just goes to show you once again, styles make fights. And this is why I believe Errol Spence style would be bad news for Manny Pacquiao. And I think all of us would agree with that. Manny Pacquiao just makes too many mistakes. He makes too many mistakes for a fighter as accurate and as intelligent as Errol Spence is. So we'll see, guys. We'll see if Manny Pacquiao decides to take the fight, but he really doesn't have too many options unless he's just going to go the complete cherry pick route and, you know, fight another 6 opponents and just cherry pick. Because like I said, if he doesn't get Floyd Mayweather, who's he going to fight? Terrence Crawford is the champion. The winner of Porter and Spence is going to have all the other belts. So where does Manny Pacquiao go from there? You know, I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's had a good run. He can hang up the gloves. It wouldn't affect him at all. I mean, it ain't too bad finishing second place behind Floyd Mayweather, you know, at least when it comes to this era of boxing, or their era of boxing in the welterweight division. It is what it is at the end of the day. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.